Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend as we are recording this on this Monday of October 28th, as we are approaching already the halfway mark of the NFL season, getting into November and such. Oh, man. On this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk some Packers, recapping the victory against the Jaguars. May have come at a cost due to some injuries out there. But before we get to that quick, just want to throw out a reminder. If you haven't, give us a quick follow. Subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast on like Spotify and Apple. It's free. Don't forget to switch the settings so you get some automatic downloads, because sometimes we'll add a few episodes each day or a couple episodes, just some small segments and episodes over there. That way you never miss an episode, okay? Got a lot of good stuff over there. And if you could, really please, 5-star rating on like Apple and Spotify, and then leave a nice positive review on Apple so others can find the podcast. That's how it works in the podcast/internet world. So, all right, little house cleaning there. Let's get right to it. Let's talk some football. Packers 30-27 victory over the Jaguars yesterday afternoon. Packers escaping, I think that's fair to say, escaping Jacksonville with a victory. Jacksonville able to tie it up with under 2 minutes. Malik Willis, backup quarterback in. But thanks to good play call, little rollout, a little PA rollout, play action rollout, throw to the opposite side of the field. Wide open Jaden Reed down the sideline. Able to put the Packers in position for a game-winning field goal for the second week in a row by former Jaguar kicker, too, Brandon McManus. But got to give a quick shout-out, or I should say tip of the cap, to running back Chris Brooks. Nice heads-up play for him. Looked like he was going to be able to get into the end zone on one of his runs there, but going down to kill some valuable seconds off the clock to set up a chip shot game-winning field goal for the Packers in that game yesterday. But the offense, so obviously the biggest story is Jordan Love and his health, his groin injury. Is he going to be able to play against the Detroit Lions for first place in the NFC North? Or do the Packers maybe elect to sit him down because they've got the bye afterwards and give him a couple weeks off before hitting the road on the 17th against the Chicago Bears? Jordan Love going to be undergoing some testing today, MRIs and such, so we'll see just how severe it is. But Jordan Love, he looked like a guy that was ready to go back into the game yesterday, standing on the sidelines, wearing a helmet and such, and I know that's not the tell-all, be-all of the severity of the injury and such. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is going to be. What first of all, it'll start to see how severe that injury is. But according to Pro Football Talk yesterday, there is some optimism or there's some hope that he'll be ready to go for the game against the Detroit Lions. But a lot of it's probably just going to depend on how the week goes and what the testing shows. But even with Love out there, and maybe this is what affected the offense a little bit because it happened earlier on in the game, and a lot of us thought it was the knee injury, that maybe he tweaked the MCL and such, but it looked like it was the groin there. But the offense, I think the best way to describe seeing the offense yesterday, it feels like at times, and it feels like it's happened a few times this season, the offense just gets in the way of themselves sometimes. Like, it's just stop doing stupid penalties at stupid times, or stop having a drop here at crucial times. It feels like that the offense is sometimes holding themselves back. The players are holding themselves back from being even better. Like Tucker Kraft afterwards, when he was talking with the media, said, quote, "We need to start taking this from Matt Schneidman, quote, we need to start taking accountability for what's going on with our offense early in the half. That's just not us. We've got to start holding each other more accountable. I haven't looked at the film yet, but there's errors by everybody on the field. And I think he's right. I think, this team, especially the first couple weeks when we've talked about offsides or holding penalties on Josh Jacobs plays or first down plays, just at stupid times. And kind of saw a little bit of that again yesterday where promising drives or looks like Green Bay was going down and maybe going to be able to come away with some points, but it gets stalled by a drop pass or a stupid penalty. And it just feels like this offense, the players on the offense kind of get in the way of themselves. And it's frustrating to see. It's a little frustrating to see. But Josh Jacobs, I think when you look at some of the positives from the game yesterday, Josh Jacobs, 25 carries, $127. Seemed like Green Bay was really trying to get Chris Brooks a little bit more involved into the game there too. But it was the Josh Jacobs show, 25 carries for $127. Those 2 touchdown runs as well. You could definitely tell the game plan changes when Malik Willis is in there, and it's interesting too. And I don't know if anybody's going to say this for. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. It seems like Green Bay runs the ball a whole lot better when Malik Willis is in there. When it feels like, when Malik Willis is in there, that you are going to run the ball more. So defenses would prepare for that more. But yet Green Bay seems to run the ball more effectively when Malik Willis is in there. I'm sure a lot of you saw the graphic that was either on TV or maybe you saw it on social media. What the running yards per play, I think it was. It was higher when Malik was in there, and a lot of it was from the running game. And I know Malik Willis is more of a threat with his legs and such, so I don't know if anybody's going to use that for I'm not saying, I'm just saying this Packers team can run the ball better with Malik Willis at quarterback, which you would think would be a little bit of the opposite, but I don't know. But credit to Josh Jacobs. I mean, a lot of tough yards from him, also showing off some of the moves on that long TD run of 38 yards over there too. So, I mean, glad Josh Jacobs is on my team right now because he has been a big reason why this team has won a couple games without Jordan Love playing at a high level. You go back to the Colts game, right? You go back to yesterday's game when Love went out. It was a lot on the shoulders of Josh Jacobs over there. So, but, other players, I mean, Tucker Kraft continues to just, you look at stat line, it's like 3 catches and 7-8 yards in that, but this guy is continuing to just develop into this fantastic all-around tight end, whether it's in the blocking game, Jordan Love goes out, Tucker Kraft's role kind of changes a little bit more, right? He's got to be a little bit more of a blocker. He can do that, and he can do it well. If he's involved in the passing game, whether it's being wide open on a little Love scramble and then, just kind of pulling the plow there and making it difficult on a defender to try to bring him down and picking up extra yardages over there. I love Tucker Kraft, man. Tucker Kraft is so much fun to watch. Dude just goes out there and he's a bully in the blocking game and he's a threat in the passing game. The guy just goes out there and has fun. I loved his little high step dance into the touchdown after that short pass from Malik Willis over there too. So I will say, it did cross my mind. LaFleur, whenever it's a small sample size, we've got a couple games with Malik in there, and then obviously with the final quarter and change from yesterday, LaFleur gets a little bit deeper into his call sheets, a little bit deeper into his play calls there. It seems like, so got to give a little bit of tip of the cap to him there too. So, defensively, this Packers team didn't have Quay Walker because obviously didn't pass all the way through concussion protocol. So Edgerrin Cooper getting the start. Edgerrin Cooper, you want to talk about? We've talked about Edgerrin Cooper's speed, and that was kind of a thing coming through the draft process. And that speed was on display on that seam pass down the middle to Christian Kirk. I think it was Christian Kirk, yeah. And Edgerrin Cooper broke it up and ended up landing on top of Kirk, and Kirk sounds like he's going to be done for the year with a broken collarbone. But, I mean, you see that speed from a linebacker to be able to get down in coverage there. But he led the team in tackles, 9 total, 5 solo, actually tied with Eric Wilson. But Cooper also picking up a sack, tackle for a loss, and a quarterback hit over there too. But Edgerrin Cooper so far this season, his rookie year, he's up to 2.5 sacks so far. It was the 3 linebackers too. The 3 linebackers that led the team in tackles for the Packers. We talked a little bit about that on Friday when we talk about going up against the running attack of Tank Bigsby. Bigsby, fantastic with picking up yards after contact. One of the better ones in the league. Tough to bring down after the first contact. And if he's able to get by the defensive lineman, the line of scrimmage, linebackers got to be ready. And they're kind of the last line of defense up until the secondary there. And Bigsby finished 18 carries for 78 yards. But it was the 3 linebackers for the Packers leading the way in tackles, being a big part of that. Isaiah McDuffie finished with 8 total and 4 solo over there. Xavier McKinney was next. I think, too, this defense started off good. Jaguars' offense started off bad in the first part of the game. I mean, they weren't moving the ball. Trevor Lawrence wasn't moving the ball at all. But then you look at it, got in that rhythm even without some of his top receivers. Lawrence finishes 21 of 32 for 308, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick there. I think we saw how much Evan Williams, I know he's just a rookie, but I think we saw how much Evan Williams is such a playmaker within this defense too, because when he went out with that hamstring injury, that's kind of when things changed a little bit and got to see Jacksonville's passing game kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm out there too. Trevor Lawrence settling down. Jaguars able to put some things together, make some plays and such. But, Evan Williams goes out. Javon Bullard goes back to safety instead of playing towards the line of scrimmage, playing that slot nickel role. And you got like Eric Stokes coming in, and then Carrington Valentine came in for him. So it was kind of a split up over there. But I think you saw just how much of a difference the rookie Evan Williams makes within this defense. It changed when he went out. I mean, I know he's only got a handful of games under his belt in his rookie year, but it's fair to say that Evan Williams is I think an important key for this Packers defense. It's kind of a shuffling after that. He goes out, you got to shuffle in other guys and put them in different positions. So hopefully that hamstring injury isn't too serious, but definitely puts it into doubt for his game or for the game coming up against Detroit, which would be a big loss for this Packers defense. It'd be a big loss for this Packers defense if Evan Williams isn't able to go out there against a Detroit team that their offense is just clicking. I mean, they're rolling right now. You put up 52 points and you barely do anything on offense, and some of it special teams and defense and all that, and I get it. But that offense right now with Ben Johnson calling plays, offensive coordinator for the Lions, I mean, guy has been mentioned as a head coaching candidate for the last couple of years, and that price tag I think is just continuing to go up if any team is able to pry him away from Detroit. I got to imagine he's probably the number one candidate for teams out there. But if Williams can play, boy, that's going to be tough going up against that offense. Hate to put a whole lot of on the shoulder of a rookie there, but dude's been playing really well. He's been playing really well this year for Green Bay. So that would be a big time loss. But the big story and the thing that every Packers fan out there is going to be paying attention to here is going to be the health of Jordan Love. Will he be able to go against Detroit? Or will the Packers elect to sit him, depending on the severity of his groin injury, and rest him knowing that they have the bye the next week and give him a couple weeks to get as healthy as possible for a stretch of games that are pretty – I mean, that's tough. It's tough. You got Chicago on the road after your bye week on the 17th. You're at home against San Francisco, depending on what San Francisco is going to look like And I know they've been banged up with injuries and such, but that's still going to be a tough game. You got Miami in a short week. I know they just fell, but again, you got a lot of speed with Tyreek and some playmakers on that team. Short week with Miami coming in. Then you got a road game against Detroit, and then a road game against Seattle, which I know Seattle got blown up by Buffalo yesterday. But still, that's to travel to Seattle and to go over there. That's going to be a tough place to play. So I don't know what the plan's going to be for Love. I know you got a big game with Detroit with standings on the line in the NFC North, a very tough division. I mean, literally one play away from every single team in the NFC North either having 1 or 2 losses, thanks to the lucky bounce in Washington on the Hail Mary. But get to that coming up a little bit later. But this is a tough division, and every single game is going to matter, I think, up until that final week when we get into January. So does Green Bay, if Jordan Love gets cleared, let's say he gets medically cleared, it's just going to be up to Goody or to LaFleur on that, because you know Jordan's going to want to play. Do you throw him out there, or do you give him another week to get ready? That's going to be the big thing. If he's medically clear, again, we'll find out more in the coming days. He's having an MRI, and I'm sure there'll be rumors and reports that'll be floated out there. After today, Matt LaFleur is scheduled to talk to the media at some point today. But knowing his history, don't expect anything. Don't expect any, breaking news or any declarations or anything like that from LaFleur. Because I can imagine he's going to do a lot of gamesmanship, especially knowing how big of a game this is with Detroit coming to Lambeau Field. Any sort of advantage he can try to find, any sort of advantage he feels like is going to help out his ball club, no matter how ridiculous we think it is from the outside, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. But I think, going back to the game yesterday, players who kind of stood out, if we were handing some game balls or tipping our cap to some of the players from that game yesterday, Josh Jacobs, you start with him, $127, 25 carries, 2 touchdowns, 5.1 yards per game. Especially with Love going down, you put it on the shoulders of your running back, and he responded. And I think you got to give him a ton of credit. Josh Jacobs, right now, I mean, you look at some of these games, he's the reason, or he's one of the biggest reasons why we've won some of these games, because so much of the offense has been placed on his shoulders, and he has responded. So, Josh Jacobs, definitely player who stood out in the game yesterday. I mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Edgerrin Cooper getting the starts, rookie linebacker. We've seen him make some plays through the season. Maybe not a ton of opportunities there, but tied for 9 tackles, got the sack. So I mean, and then you picked up the turnover late in the second half there too. Got the guy's hands on Lawrence and the football for a massive strip sack in that game. So, yeah, I think Edgerrin Cooper, got to give him. I mean, that was a big-time play. That was when Willis found Tucker Kraft for the touchdown pass, just a couple plays later. Speaking of Tucker Kraft, I think he's a player that stood out as well in that game, that big catch. Jaden Reed with the big catch up the sideline over there, too. Those were kind of some of the players that stood out to me. Xavier McKinney, got to give him a credit too. I mean, 6 interception, right? Leading the league in interceptions at this point. Got to give some love to him. Read that perfectly. Lawrence didn't even see him standing right there, just sitting, waiting for it. Gift basket, right there. Ugh. Not quite over with week 8 of the NFL season as we are approaching that halfway mark here. We've got Giants and Pittsburgh in action tonight. But, outside of Green Bay's game, we mentioned Detroit putting up 52 against Tennessee without really, right? I mean, you'd think 52 points, like, oh man, offensive numbers might have been way out there. No. Jared Goff was 12-15 for 81 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, he wasn't necessarily running. Again, don't want to box score scout it, but, I should say he was kind of running around all because he had 11.5 yards per carry, but just 11 carries for $127 overall, the team. 164 yards rushing Montgomery. 9 carries for 33 over there. But you had Atlanta picking up a win against Tampa Bay. Arizona and Tua's return picking up a 28-27 victory thanks to last second field goal there. Browns upsetting the Ravens with Jameis Winston getting the start. So the Ravens, their third loss. Houston escaping with a victory against the Colts. Chargers taking down the Saints. Buffalo dominating on the road against Seattle. Denver taking down Carolina. Kansas City remains undefeated with their victory against the Raiders. 49ers picking up a 30-24 victory against Dallas. The Jets. The Jets. With Jacoby Brissett coming in, Drake May, concussion. Patriots picking up a 25-22 victory against the Jets. The Jets now just 2-6 on the season, have not won a game since they let go of their head coach. The Jets riding a 5-game losing streak right now after starting 2-1, have now lost 5 in a row. And that AFC East, unless Buffalo just absolutely tanks it and blows it, that's their division to lose. They're 6-2. The next closest is Miami at 2-5. It's Buffalo's. AFC North's getting a little interesting now. We'll see what Pittsburgh does tonight, but Pittsburgh wins it. They'll be 6-2. Baltimore sitting there at 5-3 now after losing to the Browns. The Bengals losing to the Eagles yesterday, sitting at 3-5. Houston kind of in control of their division here too. Colts are at 500 at 4-4, but Texans picking up another victory. They're 3-0 in the division, 6-2. AFC West, that's Kansas City's right now, 7-0. But Denver, I think a quiet 5-3. I think they're a little quiet 5-3. Like Denver's got their 2 games about 500, okay. But big game coming up for them, visiting the Ravens, who may be a little desperate for a win. Maybe not desperate, but maybe taking some of their aggression out of losing to the Browns against Denver over there. NFC South, I think it's pretty much between Atlanta and Tampa Bay at this point. Atlanta controlling it with 5-3 after beating Tampa Bay yesterday. NFC West is weird, man. Arizona's 4-4. They're at 500. San Francisco's at 4-4, 500. Seattle, 4-4, 500. You got the Rams, who are 3-4 right now. So, it's that NFC West is, I don't necessarily think it's a good division with everybody that close. It's just, I guess what it is, average based off the records. It's average at this point. But the best division in football is still that NFC North. Detroit's 6-1, Green Bay 6-2, Minnesota 5-2, and then the Bears. Oh, the Bears with that game yesterday. First of all, I think it was a surprise. Everybody just assumed, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people, the experts, the quote-unquote experts, thought there was no way Jane Daniels was going to play. Didn't practice all week. Had those bruised ribs. Ended up he does play in the game. And, it was all field goals for Washington. And then, Chicago looked like maybe they're going to go up with the go-ahead score. Hand it off to a lineman. Fumbles. Washington takes the ball. But then they punt it right back. Chicago able to go down there. Get the touchdown. Take the lead. With under 30 seconds left to go. One timeout for Washington. And Jane Daniels somehow dances around. First of all, that was a heck of a chuck from Jane Daniels for that Hail Mary. That was a heck of a throw. I think it was Nance or Romo mentioned about maybe bringing in Marcus Mariota to make the throw. No, thank you. That was a heck of a check, especially when you factor in if his ribs were bothering him. I was impressed that he got it there. And then the tip, and then touchdown. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video that a fan took from the stands leading up to that. Tyreek Stevenson kind of trash talking to, I don't know if it was some fans while the play was going on, as he was waiting for the receivers to get down to the field. Just, kind of nonchalant, and then goes over there, and he was the one that actually tipped it backwards for was it Noah Brown? Yeah, Noah Brown to catch it. So yeah, I'm sure Stevenson's, you might want to stay off social media right now. But man, that's got to be such a demoralizing loss. I can't imagine the gut, what you feel like after a loss like that, and then you go from the lows to the highs that everybody in Washington is going through. Washington 4-0, by the way, home this year. Chicago has lost all their games on the road, won all of theirs at home too. So, but still, that NFC North, even with that loss, Caleb Williams got off to a really slow start. He ended up finishing 10 of 24 for $131, but Swift was able to run the ball all over the dang place, 129 yards on the ground, 7.2 yards per carry. But easily the play of the year so far. Easily the play of the year from that game. I'm glad I got to watch it live. But this NFC North, you look at Chicago now too, with their upcoming schedule here. They've got the Cardinals coming up, and it's at Arizona. I don't know what version of the Cardinals are going to show up. I mean, if it's the version against Green Bay, Chicago should win. If it's the version, where they beat San Francisco and beat Miami yesterday, that could be a tough one. Then they got the Patriots. I think Chicago should win that one. But then things get really tough for Chicago starting on the 17th. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, at San Fran, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, at Green Bay. All NFC teams in that stretch, all division teams, mixed in with San Francisco and Seattle, who they may still be competing for a division championship too. All right, that is going to do it for us on this episode of the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. And don't forget to check out that Swag Cave, the Residence Branding Company Swag Cave. That link is in the podcast description. Till next time, I'm Dan Casper, and I will talk to you on the next episode of the Man Cave Podcast.